Hello everyone. Welcome to Yashoda Hospital's online segment, the Health Talk session. This is Dr. Lakshmi and today we are going to discuss an interesting and innovative topic, that is artificial intelligence in healthcare. Today we have with us consultant neurosurgeon from Yashoda Hospitals, Secunderabad. Welcome, sir.
I'm Dr. B.J. Rajesh. I'm a neurosurgeon working in Yashoda Hospital. I'm basically born and brought up in Hyderabad, and I did my graduation from Gandhi Medical College. I did post-graduation general surgery from Gandhi Medical College, and subsequently I did my super specialization neurosurgery at Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute in Trivandrum. I was faculty there for 5 years, and in 2007 I came back to Hyderabad, and since then I am working as consultant neurosurgeon in this hospital.
So neurosurgery, I'm sure it's fascinating and at the same time complicated. So what made you choose this field?
Neurosurgery, to become a neurosurgeon, if I try to recollect, it's back to the days before I became a doctor. So it's that funny. As a child, when I used to stay in Himayatnagar, there's a central part of the city, my neighbor used to be a doctor. So I used to go and sit in their house, and she used to help me read in her house. She used to teach me, and then she used to tell that you should become a doctor, neurosurgeon, because her sister had subdural hematoma, which was operated by then neurosurgeon Dr. Kanta Reddy, and subdural hematoma is something which is magical for most of the patients. So she made very good recovery, and she told you should become neurosurgeon. But if I look back at that stage, I'm just like any other normal child. I was probably D-grader and last bencher. And in school, I never used to perform. It's like any other child where when you need to get a report card signed by your father, I used to do in last day. Then just before going to school, then evening hide out till late night and do those kind of things. And then my grandfather used to say that if you're not going to read, I am going to make you a farmer. So he used to make fun of me, and somehow things changed, and then my reading pattern changed in 10th class, and inter I did reasonably well, and then I got subsequently into medicine. In medicine, again, one fact, even before I thought about neurosurgery, was in the first year, normally we read about anatomy and all. I somehow was very strong in anatomy, and then I used to read more about brain and in depth about anatomy of brain and embryology, and I used to teach my colleagues. So that was that extent, but at that stage I never realized I am going to become a neurosurgeon. Now subsequently, finally, when we get exposed to the patients in hospital, that is the time when I really got inspired by a neurosurgeon in Gandhi Medical College, Dr. Muralidhar Rao. He is a very perfect gentleman, and one day he was telling, I am suffering from colon cancer, I have a colostomy bag, and for the last 3 days I didn't sleep, I am working. So that made us, gave us a passion about neurosurgery, looking at him. And then that moment I decided I will become a neurosurgeon.
That's a very inspiring journey what you've been through. So last bencher, so were you a notorious kid?
No, I'm not notorious. Probably more of introvert. In fact, if any of my schoolmates look at me, they'll be shocked to see that I am become a neurosurgeon and I'm out everywhere. So I used to be to keep to myself, and I used to be silent, more of an introvert kind of kid. Things changed in when I joined medical college. Till that time I was just a silent kid kind of thing.
So tell me, how did you develop this interest towards artificial intelligence?
Oh, that's very interesting. Actually, for last 20 years, when I was operating on cervical spine injury patients, most of the time our aim of surgery is to make the patient survive. And we very well know that once spinal cord is injured, they don't recover. So these patients used to come to me, and they used to touch my feet, asking me to make them walk, and I very well know it's not possible. So what best we can do is the only thing we can do is make them walk is by putting an exoskeleton on them. But exoskeletons are very costly. It costs around 1.5 crore, and it's limited only to few rehab centers. Along with one of my technology friend, I went there, surveyed it, and then we thought we can make it by ourselves at probably 1/5 of the price. But that 35 lakhs is still costly. So I thought, why not meet technology professors from IIT or other technology institutes, and then I tried to meet them. It was extremely Herculean task to meet them, but somehow I could get into contact with them, and when I met them, they told we can do it below 5 lakhs. And adding AI to it, it will make it even more innovative. Then the one more point what I realized is most of the technology what we use today is from Western world. Most of the things what we use is named on the doctors, not on the technologists. And I was thinking why it is not possible in our country. The main reason is there's no integration between technology person and the medical person. So that's where I thought, why not do something in AI for healthcare. So I devised a platform where it's called Association of Artificial Intelligence in Healthcare, where it will help or support all the persons who are concerned with innovating AI in healthcare. And with that, we could get into a lot of technology institutes. We tied up with them. We are doing a lot of work. In fact, we are doing practice schools with some of the institutes. And AI is something which is being developed at a rapid pace compared to the digitalization. It's much more faster than what digitalization occurred. And India, we are still lacking behind for various reasons. One of the prime reasons is there's no interaction between doctors and technology institutes. So I thought this platform should help them, and that's why I started reading about AI. One of the common questions what I face whenever I talk about AI is they keep telling that AI is going to take our jobs out. But I try to tell them that every revolution, the jobs are not going out, it's increasing. It's only that we are redefining our jobs. We are trying to become better by using technology. In fact, a lot of statistics show that with AI, about 85 million jobs are going to go off. But the same committee keeps telling that more than 100 million jobs are going to be created, because we are going to define ourselves in a better way, do better work, better jobs. AI is going to be revolutionary, it's going to be the future, and we should not be last in the end, we should be in the beginning. So that's one thing where I took an initiative that we should start off with AI in healthcare.
Correct. So I'm sure very few doctors are into artificial intelligence as of now. So were you a techie person in your childhood to develop this interest?
No, not at all techie. Probably my interest into these things started because of me joining in my alma mater, Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute, because that's the only institute in the country where it caters public health, clinical health and research. There is a big research wing in 5 acres where a lot of research is being done both in humans and animals. And when we joined the institute, first 3 months we are trained in research wing, where we used to go and we go through all the work what is being done, and they conduct an exam. That was a mandatory thing. So probably that is one thing which stimulated me. And after doing my post-graduation there, before I joined the faculty, I did fellowship where I tried to do some innovations. In fact, I was part of innovation which has come out from Chitra, from neurosurgery department. It's called Fibrin Group. I also wanted to design a 3D model for cerebral aneurysms. So that is one area where it really gave me a stimulus that we need to do something different.
True. So on a personal note, would you recommend this medical profession to your children?
Yes and no. So that is how I put it. Yes, Yes, because it's a very noble profession compared to all other professions. The kind of respect what we get is definitely not on par with any other thing. It is totally beyond description. But no, in the sense that the kind of life what we are going to have is very, very difficult and tough. I will put it as we become gods and also demons at the same time. The same people may make us God, same people will make us demon, depending upon how they perceive the outcome is there, which as lay people they don't understand the medical science and they expect everything to be good, which does not always happen. Always keep telling them birth and life is not dependent on us, everything God dictates, and then we are here just to make you better from what you are suffering. So that is one aspect. Definitely on many occasions we feel a pinch after doing so much of service that you are blamed like that. That is one aspect especially we face. The other thing is the family life. On many occasions we need to leave our family behind, and we are at work, we just need to run away from say parties, functions, movies. Sometimes on many occasions we won't be at home, we won't be able to give adequate time to children. So as parents they expect us to be with them, and many occasions we won't be there. So it's really a tough life. It's really a tough life both from family side and from patient aspects. But definitely you feel thrilled and enjoy. You will be excited whenever you do a difficult surgery, and when you think patient will not come out and then patient comes walking to you. That kind of pleasure you will never get in no other profession. So answer is both yes and no.
Absolutely, the work-life balance is absolutely important, which I don't think is possible in this profession. So what were the few things which you had to give up in the process of becoming a neurosurgeon?
I think the toughest part was the part when I joined neurosurgery. That's when I got married, and she left she left her house and no one to be there in the new place. And she used to stay in the hostel room for 2 days without seeing me, and whenever we used to get time to go out. Plus at that time the stipend was very low. We had significant financial issues which she managed very well. I think that's the most toughest part. That's where I describe like the kind of sacrifices we do. Probably it doesn't happen. I don't know whether maybe other professions also it might be there in a different kind of scenario. But because of a love and passion to neurosurgery, especially for me, with patients and all, we are stuck there, and once we go to the hospital we totally forget what is happening, but for family they'll be eagerly waiting for us. So these are the things which are quite tough, and it's the toughest part of my career.
So that's a tough journey, and I'm sure your family and most of us are proud of what you are today. So what do you see the future of artificial intelligence in India would be like?
Artificial intelligence is definitely the future of any part of the country. India, there's a very good scope because the population is phenomenal, lot of intelligent people are there, both from technology and from medical side. So definitely in healthcare is going to be a long future, but the big issue is we don't have a structured data. That is one of the major hurdle. Very limited part of healthcare system what we are living here in India is structured, and for AI to work we need a structured data. So as of now the scope is definitely limited, and whatever we are doing is going to be in the limited areas, not in all areas. But once as time goes on and we become more structured, AI is going to make big impacts. In fact, one of my dream is to make something which is called as AI-enabled hospitals. I think in fact that kind of terminology I never encountered anywhere, but where AI is going to act from every stage once a patient steps in till he steps out, and that's what my dream is. I'm not sure whether we are going to achieve it or not, but it's going to come someday or another. So So the human cognition is something which still AI cannot take, and a lot of debate goes on that cognition also is going to be taken away by AI, but it's far, far ahead that it's going to happen, and AI is definitely going to make our lives better, both from our working atmosphere, upskilling upskilling ourselves, or from patient's perspective.
I think that's a very interesting discussion what we had today with you. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
So this brings us to the end of this episode. Hope you all enjoyed watching this episode. Thank you for joining us, and do join us for the next week as well. Take care and stay safe.